So shooting 30% in the paint is not a winning formula, and that is exactly what the Raptors did after halftime yesterday. Toronto 7 of 13 in the paint in the first half, and you see the numbers falling off significantly in the second. So let's bring this out to the table here for the first time this morning. And Farnham, as we go through all of what we saw last night, what was the single biggest reason that on a night Giannis did not go crazy, the Bucks won game one?
The supporting staff. I mean, look, they have the ability to stretch you. And one of the things that I noticed in the game is the Raptors are really trying to take Giannis away from getting in the paint.
Yeah.
So when they're trying to take away the paint, what that's going to do is open up perimeter shots. They didn't make shots in the first half. They made shots, in particular in the fourth quarter and late in the third quarter, that took the momentum and took that game away from the Raptors. This was a game the Raptors should have won, and they let slip away.
Who were you most impressed by, Damon?
Well, I was impressed by the Milwaukee Bucks as a whole in the second half. Look, I've been in this situation where you have a long layoff in between playoff series and you lose your rhythm. There's nothing you can do in practice to simulate a game. Okay, but in the second half, they found their rhythm. They were making shots, and defensively, they stepped it up. So to me, Milwaukee is the better team, much deeper team in this series, and that's why I see them winning.
It's an interesting rest versus rust conundrum. In that first half, maybe they were a little bit rusty, and in the second half, we just showed you the paint numbers there. Maybe, Sean, Toronto got a little tired.
Yeah, I think they did get a little tired, and I would say that this is going to be a great series. This is going to be a lot of fun to watch because you're talking about two teams that really play great defense. And you saw some of the adjustments that were being made. I thought the biggest thing coming out in the second half was Bledsoe attacking to the paint.
Yes.
Again, we talk about over-helping and trying to keep them off the paint. That has a lot to do with Giannis. So it's got to be other guys attacking the paint. And if they can attack the paint, that's where you're going to free up Giannis a little bit more.
Well, if you think it's going to be a great series, I know at least one person who doesn't agree.
He absolutely doesn't, and that would be one Stephen A. Smith. Here's what he had to say. We'll give you guys a chance to react after this.
What shot can Toronto possibly have after losing this particular game? Kawhi gives you another 30-plus. He finished with 31. But Kyle Lowry, notorious for struggling come playoff time because of his miniature stature, drops 30, including about 7 or 8 three-pointers, and you still lose. Milwaukee shot 25% from three-point range. They struggled miserably in the first half, and they still won. And they won primarily because of Brook Lopez, not the Greek Freak. That should spell trouble for you if you're to the Toronto Raptors, and it certainly does spell trouble.
So you just said you think it's going to be a great series, which I take to mean you think it could be a long series.
Yes.
There's Stephen A. saying it looked to him like Toronto had their real good shot last night and didn't get it done.
They had a real good shot last night, and had they performed better in the fourth quarter, they had a 6-point lead going into the fourth. They led a majority of this game. So while all those things are true, look, the Bucks didn't shoot the ball well. I just said that they didn't shoot the ball well in the first half, and they had open looks. That fourth quarter, if somebody besides Kyle Lowry could make a shot, the Raptors win game one.
Yeah.
And the margin of error isn't that huge for either one of these two teams. I think this series goes a minimum of 6 games.
Well, look, both of these teams have been good defensively all year, and I think that Toronto, Kawhi Leonard especially, he has to do a better job of passing the basketball. Coach Bud, defensively, he's going to take Kawhi Leonard away, and he was shooting the basketball with 2 and 3 people on him. He's going to have to be able to get off that basketball and give other guys opportunities to contribute.
Is there any thought that this was just such a deflating loss for the Raptors because of the way that they were ahead, or you think they can bounce back?
I think they can bounce back. I think we start over-analyzing sometimes and reading too much into it. You know, it's funny, during the Blazers-Warriors game the other night, everybody's talking, well, you know, hey, look, this is a Blazers team that played a very emotional 7-game series, and so now that's and it was at altitude, and that's going to cause problems here in game one. In this series, now we're looking at a team that literally had a ball bounce on the rim 4 times to go in to win in game 7 at the buzzer. And they're, again, quick turnaround to get to game one here. And we're like, oh my gosh, they lost. The sky is falling. I don't buy it. I think the Raptors are going to be okay. Their adjustments. The series starts in game 2. Well, it's never in game 1.
Well, I'm going to disagree with Sean. The sky is falling.
Whoa.
Because when you get a play from the Milwaukee Bucks in the first half like they had, and you were winning going into the fourth quarter, and you cannot close that basketball game out with Kawhi Leonard and Kyle Lowry playing the way that he played, it's going to be tough sledding because Milwaukee only gets better from here.
Yeah, look, if someone had told you before the game Kyle Lowry is going to have the best night of his playoff life and Giannis is not going to lead the Bucks in scoring, you would have signed for that 10 out of 10 times if you were Toronto to find a way not to win that game. I agree that it's deflating. And look, game 2, I think, will go a long way towards deciding it because Milwaukee has been so good and so underappreciated all year long.
But I would also say this, Milwaukee winning game 1 at home when they're coming off multiple days of rest,
Not a surprise.
that's what they're supposed to do.
Fair. That's fair.